wondered how ethical hackers actually break into your system legally? Today, I'm breaking down the phase of ethical hacking in the simplest way possible. So, in this video, we'll cover how hackers gather info before even touching the system, how they can scan weakness in a smart way, how they break legally to test those flaws, how they stay inside without causing any damage, how everything gets documented to help companies fix their security gaps. By the end, you'll understand how exactly ethical hacking works in real life, not like what you see in the movies. So stay with me. This is one of the most important fundamentals in cybersecurity. Let's get started.
Going to look into the phases of ethical hacking, right? So now, see, it's not just like a phases of ethical hacking, but you have to consider that as a phases of hacking. Okay, from the hacker's perspective, what are the various steps that you are going to do? That is your phases of hacking or ethical hacking. See, there is no difference in the approach, but there is a difference in intention in hacking and ethical hacking, right? So it's not like hacker different and ethical hackers would be doing something different. Both are doing the same thing, the same technique and tools and process they use. So let's see how you can hack into any particular system, right? So first, there are these are the 5 steps or any hack. The first is like also refers as reconnaissance, right? So see, this phases of ethical hacking are having quite similarity with cyber kill chain, right? From the attacker's perspective, how attacker break into the system, that that step by step is kill chain, right? What things you will find similar in cyber kill chain and or footprint can as well. So what we actually do is, let's try to understand. First step, that is presence of printing, where you will try to collect as much as information about the targeted system, right? So let's say for an example, I'm the attacker, okay, or I'm hacker or I'm ethical hacker. I have to make, first of all, attack on, let's say, xyz.com. Any particular web application is there, and I want to make an attack on that particular web application. You can consider any network as well, any specific system as well, or let's say we are taking an example, web application, right? I want to make attack on a web application. So first of all, what I have to do is I have to collect as much as information about that particular application, right? So what I'll do is I'll try to collect more and more information. Okay, what kind of information, right? So I can collect information such as what are the IP addresses which are associated with that particular domain, the domain name, server related details, the people who are working over there, right? So that I can make social engineering attack as well, right? So email IDs, phone numbers, then like the details such as I said, IP addresses, okay, subdomains, right? So that also one of the thing. So all in all, what I'll try to do as an attacker is I'll try to collect as much as information about that particular domain, right? So that's called footprinting, or you can call it as reconnaissance as well. We will start scanning. Okay. Now, second step that we are having is scanning. Okay, let's go one by one. So footprinting, scanning, gaining access, maintaining the access, and clearing the tracks. So these are 5 phases. So the first was footprinting, where we just try to collect as much as information, as I said. right? So you will try to gather information about the target organization, right? So you can, so that you can identify potential vulnerability, right? So footprinting is the first step in a penetration testing. Okay, so that was about footprinting. So see, you there are two types of footprinting or two types of reconnaissance that you can consider. So the one is passive footprinting and one is active footprinting, right? So in a passive footprinting, you are gathering the information about the target without direct interaction, right? So you don't interact with the target and you try to collect their information, right? So that is called passive footprinting, where in active footprinting, you are actually going to interact with the targeted system, right? So that's an active footprinting. Okay, so let's see them in detail. So active means, if you, let's say for an example, you choose to perform active footprinting on a target system, then you must be in direct contact with the target machine. However, it frequently triggers the target's intrusion detection system and successfully evading the like detection required stealth and creativity, right? So overall, this type is quite risky. So whenever you try to interact with the particular system and try to break into the system, to not actually break into the system, but try to collect information, you by direct interaction, there are chances that you will be caught, right? But yeah, if you are smart attacker and you know the proper evasion techniques, right, then like you can try with direct interaction or active footprinting. Okay, so I was talking about that in an active reconnaissance or active footprinting, you have to connect with a particular target system directly. So that is a risky thing because they would be having intrusion detection system, and intrusion detection system can identify this particular thing, that someone is trying to collect information about our particular domain, right? So that is a risky thing, active footprinting or active reconnaissance. Then there can be a passive reconnaissance or passive footprinting, in which you do not directly interact with the target system and you just try to collect information without interacting with that. So it's not that risky, and yeah, you can get information as well from that, right? So that's about active and passive reconnaissance, uh, or active and passive footprinting, we can say. Okay, now let's see, I'll show you how it works. So let's say for example, we want to make attack on a particular domain. Okay, so let's say for example, I want to make a www dot, let's say, Disney, right? So disney.com, I'm going for it. Right, so this is a particular site of the Disney. Now if I try to collect information about this particular domain, I want to go for this particular domain, what I can do is I can collect information from here. I can just use tools which will try to interact with this particular domain and try to get information out of it. But that is risky because right now, Disney knows that I have made a request to their particular domain. So right now they would be monitoring whatever I'm giving over here, right, as an input. If I give something malicious stuff into this, they will get to know, right? So still I can get information about this particular domain, but not more information I will get from this, right? So what I can do is like without interacting. Okay, if you want to interact and get the information, there are certain tools that you can use, right? But using those tools will give you a kind of information, but without interacting it would be much more better, right? So there are certain footprinting sites that you can use. So one of them is, let's say, who is records, right? So, or you can just search who is, right? So who is one of the particular lookup domain lookup site which gives you detail. Okay, so I'll just copy this and I have to paste the domain name over here and I'll search for it. So as I search for it, see what it is giving me. It is giving me the information about the Disney domain, right? Who is the registrar of that domain, right? When it was registered, when it will expire, right? What are the various name server of the Disney, right? So ns2.disneyinternational.net and so on. Then organization, state, country, right? Other than that, I will get raw whois data as well, right? The domain name, then we can get more interesting details down there. So right now they have like just done everything like privacy. They are having everything on privacy on who is records. So let's go for another another site which gives us detail, which is called domain dossier, right? So domain dossier is also one of the thing which we can use. Yeah. So over here, I will just put up the domain. I got who is records, DNS records, service scan, trace route, everything, right? So I'll just click on go and sorry, yeah. Here you can see, yeah. So you will get a lot of thing about it, right? So what is the address? So I got the IP address of the particular domain, disney.in, right? So this is the IP address of Disney. Okay, then you can get more details, right? So again, over here also they have they are taking proper privacy, so they are not giving us all the details, right? So I'm selecting that kind of domain, so obviously they will be taking more and more privacy steps. See, you can see everything is like redacted for privacy. If you take up any other example, you will get more details in that, right? So that is related to this. Then network related who is records, right? So the IP range, we got a net range of the Disney, right? You can try to make attack on this using various tools. The organization who is providing the service that is given, and more details you can find over here. Even the DNS records, see, these are the DNS records of the Disney, right? So this is a kind of reconnaissance that we are doing. Okay, so in a reconnaissance, it is there are going to be a lot of things. So see, eventually if the particular web application is facing to the internet, like you can make a request over there, then they will be having this kind of domain name related details, and those details like can be like get using this particular tool, which is either who is record, or using domain dossier you can get more details. See, there are these are the trace route, right? Trace route means like first my request go to this IP address, then it goes to this, then this. Hopes, it is showing me hopes like hope 1, hope 2, and at the end I got to the Disney, right? In between, these are the various network layer related things. So on those IP addresses, my hopes, hope means my jump was happening. And see, these are the service scan. This things you can do using another tool also, that is called nmap. Nmap is network mapping tool, right? So using nmap also you can do this stuffs. I am going to show you that in a like discussion of cyber kill chain. At that time we can do discuss that thing in better details, right? So this thing, what it is giving is the HTTP port is open, right? So you can make a request through the HTTP port, right? So this is the thing for particularly the reconnaissance part. Not only this, sorry, there can be many things. As I said, you can get email addresses related to that particular domain. So you can create your own web crawler, right, which will go to every page of the Disney, right? I can create a Selenium based crawler. What it can do is it can go to every page, every sub page of this particular domain. And whenever I find any email address, right, let's say if I go to privacy policy, somewhere there would be certain email address, right? So whenever I find any email address, that will simply get that email and put into the text file. See, here it is, say privacycontact.twdc.com, right? Then I also got one of the mobile number that you can see, right? Another email address, another mobile. So for social engineering, you have to do this kind of thing. But yeah, if you are doing this through the automation, there are chances that they can get to know, right, through their intrusion detection system. If you directly interact, if you do the active footprinting, technology lookup website. Give build with technology that we can check for. In that, let's see if we give the domain name and we look up. So for Disney.in, I can see the detailed profile. It's also not free, right? So yeah, but if actually I'm attacker, then I can pay for this kind of tools as well. Right, so you can get to know about technology. So what I'm just trying to explain you that what reconnaissance is or what footprinting is. In a footprinting, what we do is somehow we try to collect as much as information about the target so that we can make our attack according to that. So if I got multiple IP addresses, then my attack scope, right, will be more. Right, if I get subdomains, right, there will be a lot of subdomains related to Disney. If I actually want to make attack, first of all, what I'll do is I'll try to collect all the subdomains which are related to the Disney, because through the subdomains, my attack vector will be and my attack surface will be very much broader, right? So I can make attack accordingly. So the first step, that is footprinting, in which we try to collect as much as information about the target system. Right. So I hope that's clear. The footprinting one. After footprinting, the next step that we are going to do, that is scanning. Okay. Ideally, you can consider scanning is also the part of reconnaissance. Like when we talk about cyber kill chain reconnaissance, like the scanning is also the part of it, right? Because through the scanning, what you are trying to do is you try to scan all the like set of procedures, like for identifying live host, ports, and what kind of services that they are using, like discovering the operating system and architecture of the target system, right? So you try to identify those things, and on basis of that, you can identify vulnerabilities and threats in the network, right? So the network scanning is used to create profile of the target organization, right? So network scanning we will be doing using tool called Nmap. Nmap is network mapping tool. In a scanning, what you actually do is you can collect more information using complex and aggressive reconnaissance techniques. Right. So as I say, scanning is nothing but it's a kind of a part of your reconnaissance phase only, in which what you will be doing is you will try to collect as much as information, but this time, see, first in a footprinting we were just collecting information in direct or indirect way, but in a scanning you will be obviously sending the request to the particular targeted system and try to get data out of it. Like what kind of data? So for that you can do multiple types of scanning. So first is port scanning, right? So the port scanning in this phase involves scanning the target for information like open ports, live system, various services running on the host, right? So let's say I have selected one web application, and on that particular web application I want to perform port scanning. So through the port scanning, I can get to know what are the ports which are open to connect, right? So from that, I can break in into the system, right? Then what are the live system which are up and running, the IP addresses, so that I can try to connect with those systems, right? And what kind of services are running on that particular host, right? So all in all, I will try to collect this information through the port scanning, right? And that we can do using Nmap tool. Okay, so that was about all about port scanning. After port scanning, you can do vulnerability scanning as well, right? So you can check the target for weaknesses or vulnerabilities which can be exploited. And obviously, the vulnerability scanning is usually done with the help of automated tools. So you would be having some like paid automated tool. Then you can use that particular tool to perform the vulnerability scan. But yeah, whenever you try to do the vulnerability scan, there are high chances that you will be easily caught by the firewall or like intrusion detection system, right? So whenever you try to perform a vulnerability scan, majorly that if that particular application is having a little bit of security postures like firewall or the IDS, then you can easily get caught and they will block your request, right? Even they can block your IP address also, right? So you have to consider that vulnerability scanning, doing that is nowadays not that useful, right? Because no one will allow you to do perform the vulnerability scan on that then their particular system. They will easily identify that thing and they will block you, right? Still, you can just have a try, right? Who knows that they are like they missed the thing and you got the vulnerability, right? So the second thing that is vulnerability scanning, and the third is network mapping. Okay, so the network mapping is about finding the topology of the network, like how you make whenever you make a request to that particular system, like how that particular request goes to that system. What are the routers, firewall, server, if any, like, and what is the host information, and you can draw a like network diagram with available information, right? And this map will may serve as a valuable piece of information like throughout the hacking process, right? So what is the topology, like how the network is there? Like first of all, my request go to one of the router, then it goes to firewall, then it goes to the like IDS IPS, and then it goes to the system. So I can get to know, yes, these are the things from which I have to just I have to bypass, right? So this will help you in your hacking process, right? So that's the third thing, which is network mapping. That's a part of scanning, right? So through the scanning, all in all, you can consider that you will try to collect like information related to the like technical details, I can say, right? The ports, open ports, services, operating system, right? The network infrastructure, network topology, right? So those kind of things we will try to identify through the scanning process, right? So yeah, that's all about scanning. Then once you scan, then you will try to gain access, right? So gaining access is very crucial for any attacker, right? So in cybersecurity, gaining access is when attacker or the malicious actor gain or unauthorized entry into the network or a computer system, right? So that's gaining access, and this is often the first phase of hacking. When you actually hack a particular system, at that time you can consider that you have broken into the system, and now you can perform certain malicious activity, right? So and see, from here attacker may spend a lot of time in the earlier phase of information gathering and scanning to reach this point, right? So how you can gain the access? So some examples are given over here, such as password attacks, right? So like you can consider that you got a password of someone, and from that particular password you are trying to like steal the credential and get the session of that particular person, right? So that you can do. You can gain access via social engineering, right? Then viruses, you can inject viruses and like gain the access. Then you can perform certain attacks, like let's say for example, if we talk about specifically web applications, then like you can perform web application related attack on that particular domain, right? So there are a lot of things in that also to gain the access. But yeah, all in all, we have to understand that gaining access is like something that when attacker breaking into the system, and they are having the actual access to the system, that is this particular phase. And to come up over here, it's quite difficult. It's not that easy to do. Like doing scanning and footprinting, that's easy, right? You are just collecting the information, but by using that information to gain the access or to hack a particular system, that is not that easy task to do, right? So yeah, that's the third phase, which is called gain access in like hacking. Okay, so if you successfully gain access, then next step that you will try to do is maintain that access, right? So hacker may just hack the system to show it was vulnerable, or he can be so like mischievous that he want to maintain or persist the connection in the background without the knowledge of the actual legitimate user, right? So if the hacker tries to achieve persistency, right, try to maintain the access, then the hacker can perform certain like activities, such as they can do this thing using trojans or rootkits or any other malicious files, right? So let's say for example, I am the hacker and I got one of the server. Okay, I just hacked that server and I got the access to that particular server. So what I'll do is I will install Trojan, rootkits, or any other kind of code, my malicious files, which will allow me to have a long time persistency in that particular system, right? So maintaining the access to the target until the attacker finishes the task, whatever he has planned to accomplish, right? So that is called maintaining the access for persistency, right? So that's the thing. Once you got the access, once you gain the access, then you will try to maintain the access as well as an attacker, right? So for persistency, you will be doing that thing that is called maintaining access. That's the fourth phase in hacking, and the last is clearing crack, right? So no one would like to get caught, right? So an intelligent hacker always clear all the evidences so that in the later point of time, no one will find any trace leading to them, right? So to achieve this, hacker focuses on modifying, corrupting, or deleting values of logs. So through the logs, you can get to know about the things. So as a hacker, sorry, just a second. So yeah, so as an hacker, what you will try to do is you will try to delete the logs, you will try to modify or alter the registry values, uninstalling all the applications which you have used, and deleting all the folders that you have created as an attacker, right? So in the event of compromised site, it becomes crucial to promptly address and fix the hacked site to minimize the potential damage and prevent further unauthorized access, right? So whenever anyone finds that something has gone bad, then it's very much important to identify those things, whatever has been damaged, and just remove the like further unauthorized access. That's very crucial. But yeah, from attacker's perspective, clearing track is also very important, right? So these are the 5 phases of ethical hacking. Why we require to need ethical hacking? So we need a protection from like external attacks. Okay, see, ethical hacking, why we require? Because we don't want to get actual hacker to identify vulnerability. We want our people first to find the vulnerability, right? So if you are doing proper ethical hacking in your organization, you are having a red team. That red team is trying to identify vulnerabilities so you can get protection from all possible external attacks such as social engineering, automated attacks, DOS, virus, Trojan, worms, right? Accidental breaches in a security, organizational attacks, like anything you can consider, right? So if you want to prevent your organization, then you have to make sure that your organization is performing proper ethical hacking, right? So that you uncover the vulnerability before any attacker can do, right? So that's the thing. That's why we require the ethical hacking thing in our system.